the people, if you look at Michael Porter's or any other theoreticians who are talking about entering us in a country to doing their own business, there are theories. They look at the exit and the entry points of a country first. And do we look at those areas? How productive we are in the airports, in the seaports? We can talk about throughputs, we can talk about the containerization, but are we user-friendly in some other things? How far are we quick and how far are we efficient in doing our own logistics services? That's another important area, more than the investment part. Before they think of investment, I think they think about how fast we can get in logistically into a country and get out of our products out of the country. Now, that's another important area that Chamber is doing. How do you sort of get the expertise on? We are very much focused on a single window concept which you're talking about. What are the expertise we have? How do we exchange the latest trading patterns, technologies which you have in the logistics area? Are we computerized to a certain extent where we can, just press of a button, we can take all the details of your export out? So these are real benchmarks that we need to have as a country. Therefore, having those 2 or 3 things, then of course we need to have, as Suresh said, about policies for a country. We need to have, we can talk about it later at a length, we need to have a national trade policy, which we have been advocating for a long time. I think even our former presidents have been talking about it. I think we've gone somewhere, but we don't know where we are. So it's not very clear as to what our national trade policy is. That will stem out to our free trade agreements which we are signing. All those will stem out from that. So that's one of the areas. Of course, we have won the battle of bringing in anti-dumping regulations to this country. We've been discussing this, and we are thankful to the government to bringing those legislations so that we are safe. Not only bringing anti-dumping does not mean that you're bringing third-class goods to this country, but it's mainly about, if you really know, it's about the price and the quantity and the quality of a good, also to be protected. So we are very happy that that legislation has been put into place. Other than that, other 2 things on the advocacy level, how we need to always interact with the government agencies. It's a fact that we have to work with them. How efficient we are, we get stuck at a certain level, and which is very common to everybody if you go to any place. And not that all government agencies are like that. We find that the airport aviation or maybe the passport office is doing one-day service, which is excellent, and they've done that. Customs have developed to, those days we used to take about a whole heap of documents for clearing our documents. Today we have that situation. So we need to look at how we should also incorporate those areas to make the government agencies more efficient so that we can get our things in a more speedily and efficient way. So that, I think, as from the national chamber's point of view, that's what we need to articulate.
Thank you, Sujeeva. So you focus, innovate, investment for 3 areas that you touched on. Let me bring in, I'm going to change it a little bit, so let me bring in Dinuk at this point. Dinuk, from a young Lankan chamber perspective.
Thank you. Good afternoon. I represent the COIL, Chamber of Young Lankan Entrepreneurs. The chamber was started in 1999 by a group of individuals who thought that focusing and developing entrepreneurship in the country is an important factor for a country or a nation to grow. Today, the chamber next year will celebrate 20 years. We have over 100 members in the chamber. And like I said, the main objective of our chamber is to empower the youth to become new entrepreneurs. What is entrepreneurship? Entrepreneurship is starting a business, taking a risk, letting go of your job, taking a risk with the intention of making profit, creating wealth by way of innovating things of value. So when you do that, what happens to a country is that you create jobs. When you create jobs, the people will have disposable income, the staff will get money, the people will have money and they can spend on things. So that will create the GDP, that will enhance the GDP of a country. Also, entrepreneurs, by nature, they're good at innovation, they're good at looking at things differently. thinking differently, doing things differently. So innovation, R&D, those are things for a country which is needed if you have to go into the global market. But unfortunately, you wanted to discuss about some issues we face today. And the issue is getting proper people to work. That's a huge issue we have. If you ask any of the trade chambers here, we don't have the proper youth to work. Historically, Sri Lankans have been brilliant entrepreneurs. From ancient times, there have been so much of stories of entrepreneurship. But over the years, somewhere down the line, it died down. And there came to a point where you ask youth in the rural areas, what do you want to do? Andwe Rasawak. That's what they really wanted to do. And today, they go into the university system thinking of the Andwe Rasava, and they come and once a week we have 4,000, 5,000 students out on the road creating havoc for everybody. Imagine if we could train this youth and get them into our businesses. We need people, but we need employable people. So one of the main issues I think the government also should focus on is changing the education structure to suit the needs of the modern era of business. It is not doing an arts degree and coming out and saying, I want a job. That's the only job you can give in the government sector, and then the more jobs you give in the government sector, the country is going to suffer. So that's one of the areas which we need to look into. The other thing is access to capital. For entrepreneurship, you need good access to capital. The government should make sure that a stable currency, controlled interest rates are areas which you can, are areas the government should focus on. Because once you do that, the entrepreneur will then take the leap. They'll take the risk. They'll start the businesses. They'll give employment. But we need to create that environment so that there is a feeling or their challenge is open for them to take it on. So those are the two main issues I would say. I think the government recently has started a very good program with Enterprise Sri Lanka. The concessionary loan scheme is a very good program. But one of the main factors of giving money to the youth is that you have to make sure you monitor it. What will happen is you give 2 million, 3 million, 5 million, up to 10, 15 million to start a business. The first thing they will go and buy a car. So these are the things we need to have a mentor program. We as a chamber, recently, Honorable Minister Iran visited our chamber, and then we told him as a chamber, we are willing to give ourselves our time to, if you're giving a loan, but you need to also have somebody to mentor these entrepreneurs, because if you see in a life cycle of a new business, you just start, and if you don't sustain it, it will just die. Within the first 2 years, 70% of businesses die. If you need to go beyond that threshold, and for that, you need assistance, guidance, and so those are things which our chamber is involved with, and we are very passionate about it, and we are working hard, and we would like to help the government wherever possible to take things forward.
Thank you, Dinuk. So again, we hear about entrepreneurship, about innovation, but a lack of skill and capacity, not enough people, Andwe Rasawak, three-wheel ekak, another one maybe, and access to capital. Ruan, if I might bring you in from this point onwards. So Ruan, not only do you lead a chamber in Sri Lanka, you're also involved with the SAARC chamber. Maybe you can bring some experiences from there as well. So,
thank you, Mr. Shah. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I thank CCC for organizing this great event, which is a timely needed session because our country today is in an era, our GDP growth day by day going down, our rupee is going down every day, and we have enough troubles. We can see people only on the road, not in factories, not giving any productivity. So this is a good thing that organized by the Ceylon Chamber of Commerce. Federation of Chamber of Commerce and Industry is a pinnacle of all chambers, all industrial and services chambers. We have 63 chambers right across the country, starting from small category up to the extra large category, representing all the sectors, not only manufacturing, not only trading, all the sectors are there. So as a pinnacle of chamber, we are the chamber which is connecting with the other part of the world. So SAARC Chamber of Commerce and Industry, which is representing all SAARC countries, Federation of Chamber of Commerce and Industry is the focal point and the primary member of SAARC. And also we are into APTA Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Asia Pacific Trade Agreement, Chamber of Commerce and Industry, which is having connectivity with other 7 countries in the region. With this exposure to the Federation of Chamber of Commerce and Industry, we see a big perspective of business community, not only in Sri Lanka, but also in the region. When we compare Sri Lanka with the other part of the world, which is connected to us, we are really lagging behind. As a country, we gave excuse for the 30 years war. Now we are 9 years after war, what we are doing. Our GDP growth in 2010 and today the GDP growth, there is no excuse that we can say we are going down. Because as a nation, our political leadership and our bureaucracy with the business leaders, there is no connectivity. There is no proper forum for us to openly discuss and work for the benefit of the country. Instead, what is happening is ad hoc trade agreements are coming. No one knows who is signing, but after signing, some people talk about it, criticize it, come into the road. Are we going to win the future? I don't think. When we compare Sri Lanka with other countries like Bangladesh and Vietnam, our economy was $2 billion in 1992. Bangladesh and Vietnam were the same. But today, our economy, our exports in 92 was 2 billion. Bangladesh and Vietnam all are 2 billion at that time. Today, our exports were only $12 billion. Bangladesh 38 billion and Vietnam 214 billion. They are net export countries. Vietnam, Korea, Indonesia, Singapore, all these countries are net export countries. They are exporting more than what they are importing. But look at our trade balance, where we are going. We are talking nonsense, and when we are going for discussions, we discuss enough, any depth, but are we going to implement them? I don't think. We are not implementing anything. So, as chamber activists, I think we should get together as the business community, because the private sector is the sector which have to take the leadership of economy in the country.